Howdy, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Kelly Monroe, and I'm one of the regional advisors for Texas BPA Area 1, Region 3. So, this is our first round of competition in BPA. It does go region, state, nationals. So, we want to thank you for having the very difficult job of figuring out which ones of our students will move on to the finals round of region. Everyone did pre-submit all of their work and their judges' presentations online, so that way you'll have the comfort of judging from home over the holidays, being able to sit there and basically have the really hard job of helping us figure out who's going to come to our finals round that we have. So Julie Barker is the co-regional advisor for our region, and then we are so huge because we cover basically Frisco to Texarkana. We have a judges coordinator who is new this year, and that is Matt McVeigh. So you might have emails from one of the three of us. That way you can at least put a face to a name when it comes to Kelly Monroe. I wanted to go through the process of showing you how our system works because everything is done online. And we did listen to some feedback from judges last year and some changes and stuff that have happened this year. Excuse the mess, it is the week before winter break. My office is a disaster. But I wanted to get this video out very, very quickly. You have a login that was emailed to you either by Matt or Julie Barker. I don't usually handle that part. So you will have a login. The website address is right here on this Google Doc that will also go out with that. And it's going to take you when you log in to look something like this. I have assigned some contests to myself just to kind of walk you through how the system kind of works, and then some stuff that I have done on the back end to make this, I hope, a little bit easier for you. On this Google Doc, it does have a few tips and tricks, including the dates on when we do need this information back. I'm trying not to say specific dates so I can use this video again next year. So please make sure that you know when our deadline is, because we do have some deadlines set in place so that we can warn students a week before they make the finals round that they would have to show up in person and present live again to judges. If the students make that finals round, they do get medals and they become either state qualifiers or state alternates. If they do very well there, then they move on to our state competition where they'll present hopefully twice and make that finals round and make it on stage. And then if they do very well there and become a national qualifier, they do move on to the national conference. And if they do very well at finals, they could make top 10 and be top 10 in the nation. So that's everyone's ultimate goal. So let's kind of go through and get started. On here, we can see that my buttons are red. That means I haven't submitted stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just select the technical round for the user experience design team. So up at the top, we do have some judges materials that we are giving our judges. So when you click it, it'll download. So I'm going to pull these up. So one of the first things that we always give, no matter what contest it is something called the WSAP. This right here has all of the information the students were given in September about the contest. So we can see here, it's got the description of what the event is, some suggested software because this event did recently change, who's allowed to do it, and then most importantly, the topic. So we want to make sure we know what topic the kids are supposed to present on, because they do need to make sure they are presenting and submitting work for current topics. We do have some students every year that don't read or don't get the current one, or they turn in the wrong stuff, and it's not something that we can grade because it's not the correct information. So we'll go through and we can see here that this is all about a car show and what the information is that we're being asked to submit. And then on here, we can go through and see other information they were supposed to have. So it all has to be online. They have to go through and do the get everything up there. They should have deliverables like a web, a mobile app, and things like that. We should have different links. So we can go through and see. It also has, hey, we should have the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. And then all the basic details. Another thing is that we always do give out our graphic standards. So if students are using the BPA logos and whatnot in their presentation or in their actual hands-on portion, that they are following these guidelines, because they do need to follow them. We also have our copyright and fair use guidelines in case you are not in education and don't know what they are. We do have them on here. Our students are required to follow copyright law. And so we do want to make sure that they are turning in things like a works cited page and things of that nature. Oh, I just realized that I did not open my style and reference manual. We also do post our style and reference manual on here. I am trying to go through and fix it so that if you need a works cited page, you are only getting a works cited page. But almost every competition is going to ask for a works cited page. There are some that don't, but they do have to be formatted a certain way. So we can see here, this is what the works cited page should look like. It does tell them what font, margins, and that kind of information. So we can see here it has to be double spaced, they have to have a hanging indent, and we want to make sure that they are following those guidelines because that is actually a part of some of the rubrics. So on here, green means go. That means I have submitted that student's evaluation. Yellow means I need to evaluate it. I haven't done it yet. And red means I've started. This is the second time I've recorded this video because I made a mistake. And that's why this one is red. So I apologize for that. Up at the top, you can sort. So you could sort by if I have evaluated them or not. You could also sort by score, and I'm going to show you that kind of towards the end. So when you go on here, the students are asked sometimes to submit a PDF, sometimes they're asked to submit URLs. So you'll have their links and everything here that they have submitted. Because this is a real team and this information is going on the web, I'm not going to open anything that they have submitted because I don't want to share their secrets. But you would be able to go through and click the link, open their project to go through and actually grade. Up here on the technical rubric, it does have if they did violate copyright or if they didn't follow the topic, you need to answer those questions. If you realize that they didn't follow the topic or they did break copyright, we need you to stop. And then I need you to reach out to Julie Barker, Matt McVeigh, or myself, Kelly Monroe. We don't actually disqualify students. We have a different process, but we don't want you to grade something that is not something that we are going to be grading. So once that happens, please just stop and move on to the next competition after you notify us. On here, we do have our rubric, so we can go through and see, hey, this is all the things that they're supposed to turn in for this part. The students were asked to turn things in for some events. They have a technical and a presentation. Some events just have presentation. That if students were asked to turn it into both places. If they turned it into one and not the other, I am trying to go back through the back end and copy their information over. So there might be a small note that says this link was uploaded by admin, student only submitted once. That's me trying to help you guys out so you don't have to dig for their links. So hopefully everything is there on both sides if you have both sides of the rubric. So we do have the information that we're going to grade. I am allowed to play with my range on this rubric. I can't go higher than the rubric. I also can't do decimal points. So keep those things in mind. Okay, so this technical score, they have 180 points maximum. I can play with this score to be between 1 and 180 points. Okay. When I go through, I can click on here and choose how I want to grade them. So I can just click and put the points. Personally, when I'm going through and grading, because I've done BPA for over 20 years, I always keep paper next to me and I'll write down my teams. And then I also write down notes. Maybe this team talked about having a waterfall in the center court of their show or whatnot, or this team had the funny story of a cat, or this one had the purple polka dotted tie. I do write myself these notes so that way at the end, I have a small trick. So you're going to go through and you're going to grade all of this all the way through. The very bottom, we do need to give some feedback to the students. The students are going to get this feedback exactly as you type it, okay? So number one, please remember these are high school students, okay? So we always want to phrase things positively and give them things that they did well, and we want to be specific, as well as constructive criticism. These kids live and die for this feedback. Back in the dark ages, when we would have to mail this feedback, my kids would hound me every single day to get this feedback. They want to know what they can do to fix things. They want to get better. Our students really do want to get better. We have some students that will never make it past this round, ever, in the 4 years that they compete. And they really want to know how they can get past this round. So we do really and truly ask for your feedback. Just remember, you are talking to high school students. Please don't say things like this was the best presentation you ever saw, because if they don't make that final cut to move on to the next round, they're going to assume that there's a mistake and I will get emails. So please make sure that you do specifics and don't do general blanket statements. So tell them, hey, you had a great stage presence. You had a lot of ums. You might want to work on that when you're speaking. I really enjoyed the car design for the app. This was amazing. It was one of the better ones that I have seen. That kind of stuff is okay. Just not, this was the best ever. Great job. None of that's going to help. Once you're all done with this, you can hit save evaluation. I am not going to save because I am not a grader. Once I've gone through and submitted all of these, I can sort by the score. I would highly recommend that you do that so that way you can go through and look at your notes to say, oh, well, team 821 should have been the highest ranked, but they're not. They're the second highest. I can go back in and adjust that rubric to get them to fall where I want them to fall. It is incredibly important that I have no ties. Okay. Our system actually won't save your stuff if you have a tie. Sometimes you may not realize that that has happened because you just see and you broke it this way and you broke it another way, and I'll show you here in a second. And you might get an email from me going, hey, team this number and team this number are a tie. I need to know which one should deserve the higher score. So that's why it's really important that you're making those notes and you're checking your scores at the end so that you have the teams basically in the order that you would like for them to be. Once I am done with this event, I'm going to switch and then I'm going to go to my presentation. So we can see here, everything looks the same. I've got the same information up here at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue evaluation. Happens to be the same team. We can see here I've got the same URL, and then here is the rubric to grade their actual presentation. Every team is going to get the points for the setup if you have that on your rubric, because they're turning in everything electronically. You didn't have to wait for them to set up their computer or pull up their presentation and all of that. So they all get that by default. And so, yeah, and then the rest of that, like they turned in their works cited. If it was submitted, they get it, even though they didn't actually come see you to hand you their works cited. It was submitted for you to grade. Answers to judges' questions, this is up to you on how you would like to handle it. You can give all the teams a 1, you can give all the teams a 20. Because you're not there face-to-face to be able to answer those questions and ask those questions, that will become a factor in our final round that we have in person on the day of. Again, you've got a spot for comments, so please make sure you are giving our teams comments. I promise you they really and truly do want it. So if they've got red backgrounds with yellow fonts and it's incredibly hard to read, they need to know that. They're not thinking about being able to actually read their presentation and things of that nature. We do ask a couple favors when you're doing this, is please don't count off on the quality of the video. The content, yes, that's all for grading. But some of our schools have huge broadcast studios that they can record in, and others have an iPhone that they're on a tripod trying to grade and trying to do their video. It doesn't matter how the students collected their video presentation to get to you. So we do ask that you don't score one team higher for having a professional setup than another that was using the resources that were available to them. That should not be a deciding factor, okay? Students were asked in a video to make sure that they were professionally dressed. I would obviously fail that statement. It is up to you if you would like to count off for them not being professionally dressed. We're not going to disqualify them. We're not going to not grade their work for it. We are going to remind students that when they do come in person, if they make that next round, that they have to be professionally dressed or they will be sent away. But we have a lot of new advisors, and some of them may not have gotten that information to their students. And so we don't want to penalize a student for an advisor's mistake. However, if you do want to maybe mark them a little lower on their delivery or mark them a little lower on something else in their rubric because they were not professionally dressed, that is certainly your call as our judge. If a student's document does not open, it is your discretion as the judge to decide if you would like to ask for permission to open it. We do have a lot of new advisors. We've mentioned over and over and over that everything should be set to be shared. And if it doesn't open and you don't feel like asking for those permission rights, that is perfectly your call. If you decide, you know what, it's the first round, we do tend to be slightly more lenient our first round to kind of help our students get better. Please don't request anything or do anything by clicking the link. Send an email to either Matt McVeigh or Julie Barker. Their cell phone numbers are on this Google Doc that's being sent out to you, so that they can go through and contact that advisor with a time limit on how long they have to ask for that link to be fixed. If you decide to do that, we will need to know the students' names along with the contest you're grading and the participant team number. Students were asked to have a document loaded that had their advisor name and email. If you have that information, please tell us. If not, we can look that up. It's okay. But we do want to try to give them that option if that is something you would like to do. Like I said, it is your call as judges if you would like to ask for that or not. Again, once you're all done, you're going to sort them by score so you can go through and you're going to go through and make sure they're all green. You're going to have the scores exactly how you want them. And then when you are completely done, when you are completely done, you'll hit this button up here that says Submit Student Evaluations. It will send an email to me so that I know I can go start looking. Do we have ties when we put that technical and presentation score together? Or if you're only grading presentation, when we average you and the other judge together, is there a tie? Because if there is, I will email the judges going, hey, Team 21 and Team 51 have a tie for first place. Which one is first place? You both happen to score them evenly. Can you guys let me know, is Team 21 or Team 51 first place? And I will go back on my end to fix their scores to have them fall the way that you would like them to fall. Lastly, on here, make sure you do know when we need this completed by. If you've got questions, please don't hesitate to email out to us and let us know. Sorry, I'm checking my notes to make sure I have done everything. Yeah, please reach out if you've got questions. We are here for you. Again, you can reach out by text, you can reach out by email. All three of us will be around and be checking all the time. And like I said, you guys have an absolutely really hard job. We have some amazing students in our region, and the students that make it out of our region do extremely well at the different levels. And hopefully, you will get your faith restored in this next generation. A lot of times people talk down and everything about them, but they are some incredibly smart and creative souls. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with this student's work.